clear from the evidence that it was at that stage the habitat became flooded with seawater, which entered the 30-inch diameter pipeline, and a vortex was created, which then sucked the divers with their equipment into the pipeline. There is only one eyewitness to this serious accident, Christopher Boodram. An examination of his evidence as to what he saw and what he experienced is as follows. The divers removed the mechanical plug from the pipeline, and they began to move the inflatable plug from the pipeline, which loosened its seal on the pipeline. Kazim Ali Jr. came into the chamber, in the habitat, to check on them, and Christopher saw the water level in the habitat suddenly start to rise in the habitat. This is how Christopher Boodram described his evidence and what he saw, and I quote, "I remember jumping into the water to swim out from inside the chamber. But strange enough, as I entered the water, I felt my body was lifted by the water rather than allowing me to sink in it. I felt like it had no gravity. Then I remember being swirled inside the chamber, like a tornado. The chamber was pitch black, and my body was spinning out of control in the water. I was sucked into the pipe, and I felt my body thrashing about in the pipe. I remember my body was flying through the pipe like what felt like 100 miles per hour. I thought to myself that I was destined to die because I was inside the pipe, there was no air, and I was going to drown. I could not see a thing, but I felt my body hitting the inside of the pipe and the slushy debris on the walls of the pipe. I was holding my breath for as long as I could. I remember hearing like my lungs were crackling and my throat was hurting from how hard I was trying to hold my breath before I drowned." And after a few words that he stated, "After what felt like a lifetime, I ended up in an open area with air. The water subsided and I was in complete darkness inside the pipe. I was not sure if I was dead or alive. I was gasping for dear life, D-A-A-R, dear life." A GoPro camera belonging to Kazim Ali Jr. was recovered after the accident. It contains various video footage, including footage from previous days. It also contains video footage and audio from when Kazim Ali Jr. entered the water with the GoPro camera on his forehead on the afternoon of Friday, the 25th of February, 2022, to when the divers started to remove the inflatable plug. The footage then goes black, but the audio continues. You can hear the suction of the water, and when the suction effect stopped, you can hear the divers speaking about being aware that they were inside the pipeline. The audio continues for about 29 minutes thereafter, and during that time, the conversation of the divers can be heard. We wish to advise persons in the room and viewing virtually that the footage and audio retrieved contains distressing graphic contents of the harrowing experiences of the divers. Viewer discretion is therefore advised. As the commissioners have advised this morning, if anyone wishes to leave the room, they can do so now, and those who are viewing or listening to the proceedings may wish to turn their devices off for a few minutes. We will not play the entire footage and audio. We will play 6 minutes and 55 seconds of the contents of what was retrieved. The footage shows Kazim Ali Jr. entering the water, the divers beginning to remove the inflatable plug, and the screen going black. The audio will include the suction effect, which can be heard, and the voices of the divers after the suction effect stops. You ready?
pause is good. You've gone back to the beginning now. I just wanted to be clear on what we're looking at, please, Mr. Maharaj. As I understand it, it's Kazim Ali who is in the water with scuba equipment.
Yes, it's Ali.
He's been passed a wrench.
A wrench.
Presumably that's the one that was going to be used to undo the plug.
The plug. The mechanical
he's then
plug.
dived down. He's come up inside
the habitat.
The habitat. We can see him coming up inside. And who's the man that we see standing with his back? Do we know who that is?
We don't know who it is. But we think it's Christopher.
It may be Christopher Boodram. Oh, all right. So, and that's where we left it. I wonder if we can go back then, please, so that we know what we're looking at. Thank you.
I don't know why he's trying to come up. Trying to come up.
Yusuf! Oh, Yusuf! How long you have to walk before you meet Fyzal?
Why don't you have Fyzal coming with them?
What I say? I'm talking about from which part? You want? You and Fyzal want together all the time?
Right now we have Fyzal with them. Right now.
Who else with you?
We have Fyzal alone.
Can't for you?
Right there.
Right there where? That's a good question. Can't everything alright with you?
No.
Any limbs break?
All legs.
Your leg, alright. Five. Anything happen to you?
Yeah.
A five?
No way.
Can't. Anything happen to you? Yusuf, anything happen to you?
Yeah, boy.
What happened?
Come on, break.